Space can be lonely. What now?
Greetings, Commanders, and welcome to episode 99 of Lave Radio, the show that talks about the universe of Elite and the fantastic community that surrounds it. I'm your host, Ben Moss-Woodward, otherwise known as Commander Edelweiss, and joining me in the orange Sidewinder of Doom for this episode, we have our Chief Bar Steward, Grant Psycho Cow Woolcott.
Good evening.
The Head of Station Archives, Colin Phoenix to Fire Ford.
Good evening, everybody.
And Head of Station Entertainment, Chris Commander Thane Jarvis.
Hello! Very nearly didn't unmute my microphone there.
That would never be done before.
Yeah, quite.
We're also squeezing in two very special guests. We've got Eckehard Kutzner, otherwise known as Commander Dexter Wolf from the Mobius group.
Hello, everybody.
And facing off, we've got Seanie Ornee, otherwise known as Ornee Shawler, from Smiling Dog Crew.
Evening, people. How's it going?
It's going good. So we've got a big show tonight, but we'll start off with our usual introductions. So, Grant, what have you been up to this week?
I've been twiddling my thumbs a lot. No. We've had another family bereavement, a slightly more distant bereavement this time around. Nothing particularly, no one we liked. And
So your son then?
Yeah,
Dylan, I love you.
No, he's fine. They're all doing fine. I have actually been backward and forward to the vets with kitten number 2, who, for whatever reason, and we're not feeding his brother growth hormones or anything, but he's now about, a quarter of the size of his brother, which is fine. Cats grow at different rates. That's all hunky-dory and such. But when the big bugger jumps from heights and flans this poor wee kitten, our concerns are that he's not putting on weight at the moment. We had him at the vets today, and thank goodness he's put on weight since last week. So that's a really good sign, and we've got some special food to try and help him. And, it's just been fun and games, and they are crazy. So I know that at some point tonight they're going to run across my keyboard, hang up my call, do all kinds of stuff, because that's what they love to do. That and playing some Elite. I did some Robigo running, which was interesting and boring. I did not get involved in the community goal as I was going to, but other things came up in real life that stopped me from being able to do that. And then I did some XCOM again, XCOM 2, which is just a joy of a game. No game can make you swear quite as much. Well, apart from if you were in Mobius groups this last week. But no other game can make you swear quite as much as XCOM 2 does when your veteran with his massive weapon can't shoot something standing 2 squares in front of him. It just makes you swear.
That sounds like me and Chaos.
Walk home! I'm not even putting you back in the ship. You're walking! Anyway. Yeah, it's been a good fun week, actually.
It's true, you do sometimes feel like it should have an option for, like, is enemy point blank? If yes, then do not miss. That's the line of code they're missing. It's like, you shouldn't really, if someone is standing in front of you, there isn't really an excuse. I mean, you could, just drop the gun on their foot if you can't hit them from that range. Anyway.
Especially when you only got one blooming life point left, and you could just drop it on their feet. Oh yeah, I love the frustration that game brings. It is just something special about it.
You masochist.
So I'm guessing, Jarvis, you've been playing some XCOM as well this week.
I have. So far, Ben, you're still alive, but
Yay!
anything could change. Yeah. You can go to the memorials board on my game of XCOM and see most of the Lave crew in there. No, I agree with Grant. I mean, it's a punishing game, and it's one of those things where you know it's a punishing game when every single unit feels like it's overpowered. I've just I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but there's a new enemy that I've come across that looks a little bit like the what were they called from BioShock, the big diving bell monsters. Was it the Big Sisters?
Oh, the Big Daddies.
Big Daddies.
Big Daddies.
There's a thing that looks a bit like that, and I'm just going to say dick move. Just dick move, really, on that unit. Just, yeah, anyway. But yeah, and I've also been, I've finished the draft for the Chaos Reborn audio drama script, which is good, and hopefully that's with Alan for kind of fiction checking and obviously a little bit of quality feedback as well, because obviously working for myself I don't really have a peer review. So hopefully that'll go well. Alan is quite honest with his critical feedback, so I'm bracing myself for that to come in. And yeah, it's great because it means we can move on to casting, which is obviously partly a really exciting step, and also I think for the Kickstarter backers, that's the thing that's going to be really interesting for them, is to hear, you know, who the people are that are coming and playing these characters. But it's quite a nice stage to be at, because unless the script is in really horrible shape, which I don't think it is, we at least know now who the parts are that need casting. Whereas obviously until you've got a working kind of structure, theoretically any characters could come and go, so it's obviously quite difficult. So that's been my week. I've also been playing Elite, and I'm looking for even more to an update to the mission system, because every time I sit down and play missions, like 50% of the ones that I play just seem to be really broken, which is very frustrating. Because I like the missions, I like taking on missions. I'm not really a big kind of hauler or a bounty hunter or any of those things. I like to check the bulletin board and take on interesting missions, and when I'm not able to do that, it kind of puts me off.
No, I can get that. I'm very much the same, I guess, but I know what missions are broken, and I do just avoid them, which is a shame, because they look like fun, but they're just buggered. Sorry, it's not even 9 o'clock yet. Whoops. Oh well. Anyway, Colin, what you been up to?
Oh, me, right. Let's see. I've been doing a little bit of work on the miniatures game. Me and Dave Hughes have got to the point where it's actually, well, I reckon the alpha, if you like, is complete.
Cool.
We've cleared up the rules, and it's now at a point where we've worked in it enough, and we can then separate things again, if you see what I mean. So we've got a core rule set, which will work in both the RPG and in the tabletop game. And now it's just putting on the finishing touches. Well, as far as I'm concerned, putting the finishing touches, putting some balancing in, and getting the points balance right for the miniatures game. Apart from that, obviously playing a bit of Elite. At the moment, I have discovered that there's a war going on text ovases, and they pay very, very well for battle weapons, which is available just for the system next over. So I'm actually racking up the credits quite nicely at the moment, which is very unusual for me. But I do agree about the mission things. As part of my latest top shift, the reason that there hasn't been a top shift for a while is because I've been going through each of the missions, trying to find out which ones work and which ones don't. And I must admit, I didn't think that many of them were broken, and I was wrong. Yeah, a lot of the new ones that we always wanted to try. Chris, I didn't realise how bad they were. So
yeah, it's a real shame. I mean, basically, the missions that are a sort of substitute for just trading are kind of fine, and then anything else just sort of seems to be quite problematic.
Well, the assassination ones are still fun.
Yeah, the ones that have been with us since the beginning, but I think everything that was added... Well, no, not everything, that's very unfair.
No.
A lot of what was added in 1.5 is actually largely non-functional.
Well, some of the planetary missions I found are quite good.
Some of those are good.
Yeah, but
at least the assassination missions have been fixed up from what they were like prior to 1.5, where you just never find the target and that kind of stuff. You can actually make some money out of those things.
Yeah, and I'm one XCOM behind you guys. I am still running through an XCOM 1, and I have to say, God, that's a bugger of a game. So God knows what it's going to be like when I move up to the second one.
Well, Johnny, you went off and said something. So how about you introduce yourselves and tell us a wee bit about yourself, and what have you been up to?
Well, my name's Sean. And I'm one of the founding members of the SDC with Commander Sunday. And we've been Gaming hard. Well, not so much me. I've been actually doing sort of PR stuff while I work and do audio stuff. I run a recording studio. I'm putting together a live show at the moment where I'm making all the backing tracks for the music, taking out the drums and the guitar, and the guitarist does the singing and I do the drumming. That's what I do in real life. Gives me the opportunity to get away from that to come into basically Elite's the only game I play. I'm sort of a one-game kind of guy. Prior to that, I was into EVE for a good 5 years, which is where some of the smiling dog culture came from, and some of our special brand of bad just comes directly from the different large corporate entities and their mischief that was EVE Online. Some of the stuff that makes EVE Online just super interesting, yeah, and super deep and very emotional. That's one of the things that we really like about Elite is its ability to draw emotions from people. Yeah, people get very attached to their spaceships.
Oh, we've definitely seen a lot of emotion this week. Right.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes. Right, Eckehard, what about yourself? Introduce yourself to the audience and tell us what you've been up to.
Okay, I'm Eckehard. My in-game name is Commander Dexter Wolf. I'm Wolf on the forums, and on our own forums I take care of the Mobius PvE group's website and the technical stuff behind it. I'm also actually a single game guy at the moment, playing only Elite. In real life I'm IT guy, databases. That's about it.
Okay, the big question, is it Oracle or is it SQL Server?
Oh, neither nor. It's
Sybase.
It was Sybase, actually. Yes, you're right. I was a Sybase DBA once, and now I'm the head of the team taking care of MySQL and Postgres and some
I like Postgres.
other stuff. Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, the digital industries are great for giving you time to actually do stuff that you want to do in your real life.
Right. Well,
Not nearly
no,
enough.
maybe. Okay.
Okay, sorry.
Right, that's cool. Right, we're going to move into the development news for this week. So, we had the development update from the 18th of February by Monsieur Brooks. So, he went off and did his usual brain dump, and it was a heck of a brain dump this week. He's talking all about the variety in the game, but I thought the interesting thing that was actually the first thing he said was, it's the penultimate update. So, I'm guessing that means the development update this week will be our final dev update for 2.1. So that makes me think maybe we're going to be seeing some 2.1 alpha or beta or whatever you want to call it next week or two. Do you think that's a reasonable assumption, or am I being a wee bit optimistic there, or what?
I think you might be being a little bit optimistic there, Ben, to be honest.
Yeah?
They always like to prime it up and make us feel like we're getting something a bit sooner. It keeps us excited, string it out a bit.
Yeah, Frontier are definitely good at getting us champing on the bits.
And champing. Yeah.
Something they've learnt well from other games.
Yeah, swines. And Ed and Zach are both very good at it.
I should just say I've signed an NDA, so I can't discuss this particular issue.
Were you at Frontier Taz recently, Jarvis?
Yeah, we had a good discussion about this last week. But yeah, me and Fozza went and visited Frontier and talked to David Braben and pressed
You're
lots of questions.
About that, are you?
I'm not really, because it's not that I'm not allowed to discuss that. I just don't want to spoil the 100th episode, which we need to do a lot of pimping for tonight. Basically, next week is our 100th show, and we have a long show. We have all kinds of cool stuff. We have an exclusive interview with David Braben. We have loads of really exciting stuff to announce that is going to be happening around our 100th. So there's some stuff in game you're going to be seeing. There's some stuff we're doing you're going to be seeing, and it's generally going to be very exciting. But it's kind of difficult because I don't want to spoil it by saying these are the things we're going to be doing. But at the same time, it'd be really nice to tell people what we're doing. But we'll see how that works out.
Right. Every time you hear Jarvis mention the 100th show, take a drink.
Yeah,
We'll be hammered before 9 o'clock.
it's true. It's true. 100th show.
100.
Was that the
Yeah.
100th?
Yeah, 100th show. Yeah, next week. So this is 99, and do you know what? It's such a shame about for things like the YouTube export and various other things that we don't have a kind of license to do commercial music, because I really wanted to start tonight's show with the German version of 99 Red Balloons, because I just think it's great. But unfortunately, we can't do that.
What
Well,
you mean?
technically, you could sing 8 seconds of it.
I said I like it. I didn't say I know.
And I could do a remix for you guys. Yeah.
So
No
basically,
problem.
you'd like
I could make an 8-second backing like in half an hour or something like that. If you wanted to sing something like that over something.
to...
I'm really
Sounds like a
not.
challenge to me.
I'm really not.
Right. Anyway, moving on to the 2.1 update that we got from Mike. So it's all about improving variety. So they're going to be giving us some more missions at neutral rep. But on the other side of that, if you have more reputation, then that's going to gain that you've got even more missions, and those more advanced missions are going to give you better money. So that sounds pretty good to me. I mean, I think it's fair to say that you go off and you look down the list and it's like, yeah, you can't do that because you're not liked enough. You can't do that because you're not elite. You can't do that because of this. You can't do that because you've got an orca. And it's like, yeah, that's kind of frustrating, seeing all these things that I should be able to do, but because I'm not liked enough by the guys to do the thing, to haul 10 tons of trash for them, that I can't go and get liked with them, which is, that's kind of sucks sometimes, I think. And
Yeah, like what kind of that's the kind of mission that you would expect, that is how you would get your standings. Not like we're not giving you our trash to haul out.
yeah, exactly.
Who are you? It's that there's that little element of like who thought of these things.
I think it's random chance, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
hopefully we're going to see better sense behind the missions as well.
Just a little bit better storyboarding, yeah.
Which leads nicely
It
on
makes
to my
the
next point. 'Cause
Makes the RP more immersive.
we're going to get apparently there's going to be a 3-stage hierarchy for generating the missions. So you're going to have the state of the minor faction, so whether they're in war, in famine, or whatever, the kind of market that actually is. So if it's like a high tech or a industrial whatever,
Agricultural, refinery,
Yeah.
those ones, yep.
they're the ones. And then of course the type of government as well. So all these things apparently are going to go into the mix, along with all your other stuff, like your rep, like your faction rank and all that kind of stuff, and hopefully give you things that you can do. And also there's going to be, I believe, that if they're removing the rank requirement, so that if it says dangerous, it might be a dangerous rank just now, but that's just going to mean, well, this is going to be a dangerous mission for you, or an elite mission, or whatever. And the higher the ranking of them, the harder they are, but also the more money you're going to get. So I think that sounds kind of fair, because you could go and take an elite mission at your risk, but if you die, then it's your own darn fault.
I must admit, I do prefer that to the exclusion barrier that you've got at the moment. But you do know that there will be people going, I've just lost my Sidewinder again. I keep on taking this mission, and it keeps on blowing me up. I'm only harmless.
Caveat emptor. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that sort of thing will put the dangerous back into the game, because like what you're saying with the missions there is something that we believe that the game does, is just mollycoddles people, and it's a bit cotton woolish. Like we think that space is dangerous, and if you want to take on an elite mission, it's just like, yeah, take it on at your own risk, but expect it to be dangerous.
I mean, I've always said when I go into Reedquart, I want to come away from that place with brown pants.
Yeah. You want the
need to.
adrenaline. That's what you want in this game. It is the single best spaceship combat simulator on the market. There's no doubt about that. The flight mechanics are exceptional. It's been really, really well done. It lacks a bit in gameplay. And that's sort of, where we try to push the our own brand of content as well, yeah. Just to try and excite the game a little bit more. Because if people are talking about it, then they're recognise it. there's something happening in the game that's drawing some emotional response.
Yeah, well, we're obviously
that's
going to be coming on to that in the main discussion of the topic once we get through all the dev news. But yeah,
Yep, yep.
I basically agree with you for that. So we're going to be given better feedback as to what the mission's going to do for the background sim. So I think that's a fair point. It's like, yeah, at the moment, at the end of the mission, it says, it's done a little bit of stuff and it gives us some feedback, but I think we're all left feeling, what the heck have I actually just accomplished here? But with all these things, I want to see what they're actually going to show us before I make any judgment calls. Because hopefully it'll be good, but who knows? So I think this is an interesting one. Obviously, at the moment, we've all got USSs, and we're used to flying around the system, randomly jumping into unidentified signal sources to find that person you've got to go and save, or find these cargo canisters and things like that. And that's now going a lot more. They're going to be at a specific location, so it sounds to me like it's going to be our ship crashed outside of Lave Station, and you'll see a USS outside of Lave Station, and then you go there and you'll see some wreckage, and hopefully it's going to be a lot more. You're going to be led into it a lot more, hopefully, rather than just fly through the place and hope that this low signal source is actually the one that you want by random chance. I think this is an interesting one. It gives us we're getting a use for nav beacons now, because nav beacons are going to be able to be scanned to give system information. So I think that's going to, you're going to have a reason to drop in your nav beacon when you show up at a system and you don't know anything about the place. And then you can go and scan the nav beacon to actually get, hopefully, a full system record of where you are, rather than having to do your great big ping of doom.
Which is a great idea, to actually make the nav beacons be incorporated and actually mean something rather than just something that's there.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, they're just okay. I can see why they're there, but it's just like they don't do anything in game at the moment.
Weren't they originally there because that's where you were supposed to jump into, and they changed it so that you come in to hyperspace and supercruise instead of coming in at the nav beacon?
That might be the way it was originally done, yeah. But then how would that work for flying to Sage and all these other places? Because they don't have nav beacons.
Well, it'll probably be the closest part of the star, but
Splat!
But with
This'll be
version
fine.
1, with version 1, that was where you went to look for your pirates and that kind of stuff. If you were missioning a system that didn't have like res sites or something like that, or belts, so you just go and hit the nav beacon.
It's still not a bad place for doing your bounty hunting even now, to be honest.
Yeah. It also used to be the only place you could really find PvP early in the game. It was the only place where you, like, around LHS 3447 and that, you could jump in and find fights. Yeah, you could jump into the nav beacon and find fights there.
It was fun going into LP. Oh, was it LP 98 Mark 132 or something? Or 97 Mark 132?
The Anarchy system, right?
Yeah, the Anarchy one in Alpha.
Yep.
Happy days. I think another thing that they're adding in, which makes a lot of sense again, is like, rather than ships seemingly flying around the place willy-nilly, we're going to actually have traffic lanes in-game. So I guess that means you're going to have... Everything's echoing back to me. Test, test, test.
I can hear you. Okay.
You sound fine to me. It's roboting a little bit, but I can't help that.
Okay, everything's echoing back to me.
Can't hear it on this end.
Nope,
Fair
same
enough.
here.
Okay, it's just me then. So the nav beacons, you're going to fly into the sun, not literally, and then there's presumably going to be traffic between the nav beacon and the stations, or between the planet and the stations, and so on. So you're going to have all these different traffic lanes rather than just random places, and I think that makes a lot of sense.
Mm.
You're not sounding convinced there, Colin?
Yeah, just that if you have traffic lanes and things, I'm just thinking of that horrible abomination of the latest X series. That's traffic lanes we don't want.
Why? What did it do?
Well,
No,
if you're going
Ben,
to go,
don't let me go there, because otherwise you'll end up with a half an hour rant at how X Rebirth was horrible.
Okay.
No.
why don't we just go back to the original plan of just nav points of interest?
Yes.
Because we don't want that, Ben. So drop the whole drive lanes rubbish. We don't want that. We want to be able to fly across lanes and
Yes.
go in other
we
directions.
can fly across
Yes.
lanes. We don't have to fly through the lanes. It's
No,
just
Ben,
that,
Ben.
Yeah,
We
yes.
want freedom. Remember what that is?
We want our freedom, but we
Freedom!
There we go.
Oh God.
Have I slipped onto a Scottish podcast again?
Yeah.
I think so. I do apologise.
I was going to fire at the bagpipes now.
I should.
I
I
was
should
saying
have.
earlier I did have haggis for my dinner tonight.
Yeah, I should apologise now as the show's resident minority for tonight. That we're lacking in diversity tonight. Although actually, to be fair, it's a bit better than it normally is.
Yeah, we've got an Englishman, an Australian, and a Welshman. No, a German.
We've almost got a joke.
Almost. Oh, and Grant Nopiol Thrios, or however the hell you pronounce that, is asking for some bagpipe music for the advert break.
Okay, alright, I'll see. Well, it's really going to be Chris that will deal with that, but I'll see if I can find something.
God.
I can't promise I won't mute it.
Right. We do have some good news coming out of Frontier Towers today that Capital, at long last, is actually going to get some lands. So it's no
Yay.
longer going to be a water world. Mike Brooks has gone off and manually edited the game so that Akanar actually has somewhere where you can land your ship and have a little thing like a palace and things like that. So I think that's going to make a lot of these lore people happy.
Well, I'm one of them.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, Capital was meant to have land and things, so it was always a wee bit confusing why it didn't.
Well, it's just because of all that inbreeding. They developed webbed feet, so they decided they needed something to swim in.
It's just the Emperor's swimming pool, is it?
Yes.
Right, and another nice, exciting piece of shinies. We've got some ship skins coming in for the Anaconda.
Yeah, finally.
Apparently they're very sexy.
Apparently, yeah. Well, I like my gold condor, so I'm happy with that. But
You like your bling, don't you?
I do like my bling. Hey, I've got a golden ass, so I've got a golden condor, and I've got a golden furry lance now.
Yeah, Ben.
I've got a golden viper.
Good grief, it's the Ali G of the elite ship world, isn't it?
I was going to say, you got a grill in your mouth.
I've got no teeth to attach them to.
Right. So then we've got a nice little announcement from Zach for the Galactic Academy. Are we allowed to talk about this, Jarvis?
Yes, he specifically gave it to us so that we could let people know about it.
In that case, then take it away.
Oh, God, okay. Apologies for those watching Twitch. The game is about to start looking really boring. Basically, you've got... let me bring up the show notes. Frontier are creating a thing called the Galactic Academy, which is designed to kind of reach out to new players. I think that the target is new players and players who have quite low hours in terms of playtime. And it's basically a way of giving people kind of signposting to help about how to play the game. And the way it's been done, I suppose in an extension of what Frontier have done with the ambassadors thing, they're taking on Elite Dangerous community players and volunteers, sort of veterans, if you will, who are populating this Galactic Academy and will become kind of, I guess, Big Brother figures for new players. And it's really just about giving people a kind of way into the game, explaining some of the more obscure features. I don't know exactly how it's going to manifest. I don't know if you can, as a new player, as part of the Galactic Academy, I don't know if it will go as far as being able to wing up with one of these volunteers and kind of get help in the game that way. But it's designed to be a bit more of a kind of in-game tutorial, if you like, a bit of hands-on sort of hand-holding but done with other players rather than in a sort of tutorial way. I think it's a good idea. It's just it'll be just interesting to see how it works and how effective kind of new players. And I don't know as well because if they've said they're going to target people with low hours. I don't, is that going to be people who've only played it for 4 hours in the last 18 months? Because those people have probably lost all keen. But maybe it'll bring them back, and maybe that's part of the plan.
Well, I will say one thing. In my Top Chef videos, definitely the most popular ones are the ones where I go through the very basic steps yet again to explain, the little tricks about the compass and what to look out for when you're landing and that kind of thing. There is definitely an appetite out there. A lot of people are seeing these highly advanced maneuvers that people are doing, wishing that they could do that, but kind of losing heart when they can't.
So, Jarvis, you said that this is going to be in-game, because from reading
that was
about
my
it,
assumption.
It sounded like it was. Okay, I was assuming it's going to be a website. It'll be awesome if it is in-game.
Yeah, that's why I think because they're saying that there's going to be things like they're going to be using TeamSpeak and Discord for it, so you've kind of got people on live chat, while you're playing the game. And I don't think it's
that in game.
Well, I'm guessing if you're already on
Discord in game.
No, well, I think they're just thinking
it's
people
more
to use it
about
out of game.
buddying,
But I mean,
isn't it?
yeah, I don't think it would be out of consideration to say if you're talking to someone on, like Discord or something, to say, is there any chance you can actually walk me through how to wing up and how to set things like nav beacons? Because I'll be honest, even the amount of time I've played this game, I still don't understand which way round you have to have things like wing beacons and nav locks or whatever it is in order to do that whole following in hyperspace thing. I generally turn them both on and hope that it works, but I've no idea what it actually does.
And remember to turn it off when you jump away, otherwise you bounce right back in.
That's
Really?
one of the funniest things. But
Okay.
Oh yes.
it is. I mean, it's the navlock, wingman navlock's what you're looking for, Chris. But we actually had some interest for LaveCon this year with regards to possibly doing tuitions and more of this kind of stuff. Now, obviously, if you're an alpha backer, we've been there from the very start. So all the features we've kind of played to death in the beta modes, and we get that real sense of understanding what's going on and how to use them. And you take it for granted that everybody has the same background knowledge.
I mean,
And they don't. I mean, winging up is quite tricky, and people using wings properly and taking advantage of that navlock and the wingman beacon, which are obviously for two different circumstances. Your sort of wingman navlock allows you to do things like when they jump, if you're within range of their wake, it will then automatically jump to the same location so you can follow them. If they engage their wingman beacon, when you become in range of wherever they've dropped out, you will automatically drop out. And these are really, really handy for the likes of when you're going on a long journey and you're following your wing, or if you're in combat and one of your teams get interdicted, if you all stay within range of that ship, then you all drop out into the same instance and instantly can then defend each other. So it does open up gameplay, and that's just wings. When you come into power play, there's so many different things that you can do and different ways of using it that your everyday user might not know, so they just totally just turn off to it. No, I'm not going to bother with that just now. I know what I'm doing here. I'll fly from A to B and do trading. I'll fly from A to B and do bounty hunting because I know exactly what's happening there. And then, so yeah, I think the difficulty is who considers themselves an expert enough to be able to sort of tutor people in all these factions. I don't think anyone, well, maybe Karash, but I don't know anyone. I certainly wouldn't feel confident in telling someone, right, here's the be-all and end-all of wings. I know it back to front. I don't. Background sim, I don't. I kind of, know my ship and how to do what I do, and therefore I think we'll struggle to find. So if there's anyone out there that thinks that they are an excellent teacher and fancy giving some lessons at LaveCon, or I think if you want to become part of this academy, if you were to send your interest in that to the likes of Zach or Ed, they can have a look and see whether or not you fit in that group. Because they're going to need volunteers, that's for sure, to go out and help people. But, we obviously have got the Lave Radio TeamSpeak, and that's been a fantastic place where people who really don't have a clue what's going on in the game can jump in They can ask questions directly, and as long as it's not, rem clip there, they'll generally get a pretty nice answer. And no, I'm joking, rem clip's fine. He's just a bit sharp sometimes. But we're happy to even jump into game, wing up with you, and take you on that journey until you're confident. And then hopefully, as we've seen in the Hut and Truckers, we've seen people carrying that forward. We've got people who are running events within the Truckers group because we've shown them how to do it, and then they've taken it on, and that's awesome, and that's what we want.
Yeah, I think what I find interesting about it is that it's about Frontier taking responsibility for their player base, and I think it's fine to say, from a certain point of view, that if you're coming to a game and if you're coming to a game and you need help with it, in some respects gamers do understand that there's Twitch streams you can watch, there's YouTube videos you can watch, there's wikis and all this sort of thing. But I think for those who don't necessarily take themselves off to those kind of sites, in order to understand, Frontier have a responsibility to their entire player base, and if they've got people who've come into the game who don't instinctively go to Twitch or to YouTube or to Facebook groups, they need, this is them providing a source, a way for people to come and find out the information they need to enjoy the game, because actually, the signposting isn't there, and Frontier know that the signposting hasn't been there.
But the signposting with most games isn't there, and it's it's something that you gain with experience. Yeah, see, there's a lot of people in this player base that this is their first real MMO. And that's why they do get a bit lost. And it sort of shows, like with our group, we've got people looking at the forums, looking at this, looking at how the missions are working, looking at the damage, like we're doing a lot of theory craft and that kind of stuff. So we collaborate as a group. That's part of the MMO thing. We're also always very open to teaching people, because we all teach each other. And that's a part of our player structure, is teaching each other to excel. And that's part of the SDC thing, yeah. Is to be, we'll take anyone who's, we've taken total noobs. One of our guys, Z Baltimore, total noob, flew with one of our top pilots for a while, just in a quiet time zone. And then I started seeing videos of him popping up, killing guys, like playing, doing 1v1s and really excelling. I was just like, wow, this guy's come a long way. That's one of the guys that that makes me proud. Yeah, it's like, wow, this guy's he was just this nice, really unassuming guy, checked in, didn't know nothing, and then we've sort of helped him grind up to a third lance, kitted him out, taught him how to fly it, and he's an excellent pilot now.
Cool. Right, well, we're going to move on to Newsletter 112 now, which came out on Friday eventually, or Saturday or Sunday for some of us. The bugs seem to be eating Frontier's newsletters server this weekend. I don't know why. But I think, do you guys remember back when Horizons was announced, they did a video competition?
Yep.
So we eventually found out that not only here won the video with that, and it's a nice little video showing them flying through canyons and a lot of racing around the outposts and things like that. It was a nice little video.
Now, hold on a minute. Hold on. I'm getting confused, because the original one was the community award was for the video maker. That's too long ago. There's been another one since, hasn't there?
It might be. I'm not sure, but
because I'm sure the winner of that one had the video of the guys. Now, he was a student studying media and did that amazing kind of in cockpit video comms between the pilots and stuff.
Oh, that was ages ago. That was before Horizons and everything like that, Grant.
Yeah, I know. That's when I jumped to thinking, yeah, that's the one. Then I'm thinking, no, that was too long.
No, that's not that one. That's another one. But they were awesome guys, and they did a very cool video as well. A real nice little story in it. Whereas this video, it had a nice little storyline, but it was basically, I'm gonna fly around and drive around and basically show off some of the stuff that you can do in Horizons, and it covered that all quite nicely, I thought. After that, we went off, and the guys at Distant Worlds have reached Sagittarius A, and Gordon Bennett, a lot of them managed to somehow get into the instances. I think they did some jiggery pokery to get at least 50 and there are some reports that they even managed to get over 100 odd people into one of their instances for getting everyone all lined up and then jumping out. And I'm about to cough.
Yeah,
Excuse me.
that was amazing. Yeah, but I think I read something about that when no NPCs are there, somehow the limits are different.
I wouldn't be surprised by that. And I've also, because it's because it's peer-to-peer, I think they did some wing jiggery pokery. So, I'm here and then I go off and invite 3 of my mates and they jump in and they're in the same place as me. And then I kick them and then 3 more of my mates jump in, rinse and repeat. I think that's kind of how they did it to get a whole lot of people in there. But they got some really nice photos of just a shed ton of player ships, and it's absolutely. I think it's amazing that you managed to get 100 people there at Sagittarius A.
And yeah, that's
fabulous.
a really mad piece of footage. Really great. They must have taken ages to actually get everyone in the same instance and to get it working that well.
It must have. I mean, I know from some of the Hutton stuff that we've done, it's been bad enough trying to get like 10 people in the same place at the same time.
And then build.
Yeah. There was a point at just before 1.5 release where instancing was really good, and we had some really, really cool wing battles. That was when we were fighting with Code, and we had our little fallout and did a lot of fighting there, and wasn't really a fallout, but yeah, we had some really, really big fights. There was 15, 24 guys in fights.
So on 15 guys per side, so 30 odd. 30, 40 odd people
about
in
12,
the instance.
12 aside generally is about as much as we've been able to fit.
Okay, so I mean, I've heard they've always mentioned a 32 person player cap per instance. So that should be theoretically quite doable. Even though it is always a bit funky as to how the hell it actually works. Yeah, I can believe that.
Works better in private groups, but probably because you're separated from all the other random bitch streams that can and have access to the instance.
Probably, yeah. And then, talking about a wee bit of PvP, but we're going into the CQC stuff, and obviously in CQC you're ranking up to level 50, and as you rank up, you get access to more ship variations, I guess I'd say. So you can get more stuff in it, and then you can also get, instead of just one Sidewinder, you can end up having 4 or 5 a choice of 4 or 5 of them, each with different loadout, depending on how you're set up. But basically, once you reach rank 50, you have the option to prestige with it, and that's going to give you access to the Atellus starport in CD 4311917, and I think they said there's a nice discount on some of the more pew-pewy type ships there. So I think there's a 30% discount on ships. So don't quote me on that, and also on some weapons and other outfitting things. You can also earn, from what I understand, you can earn more credits in the main game from doing CQC. So instead of just getting basically a couple of quid pocket change, you're actually presumably getting some real money. But the downside of this is basically you're all the way back to rank 0 again, or rank 1 again, so you're back down to a single Condor with pulse cannons to start with? Anyone?
Not sure.
Yeah, you're back down to the rank 1 ship anyway. Although
I've never been in there.
I actually quite like the CQC rank 1 ship, and you're not locked with it for very long anyway. It doesn't take that long to get up to rank 4 or 5 where you at least start getting some stuff. And hello to you, Baxter. Yes, thank you very much, Crash. Right, and on with CQC. As we know, obviously the other day, Frontier went off and released Arena for just a $5 on Steam and on their website, and going in with that, we're getting the CQC Mayhem, where there is a shit ton of streaming going on every single day, and basically there's a massive website with that. So, yes, Grant.
Yeah, I think, the arena, when we heard that was coming out last week, it was just spectacularly good move to get that side of the game far more populated, because that's been the biggest issue is with instancing now. I think we did one, not last year, the Thursday before last, we did a CQC on Hunting Truckers, and instancing was tricky again. It was a bit of a pain in the bum. And then after the launch of Arena, certainly on that day, it was really easy to get into matches, which was such a blessing, because that's what it's like. It's good fun, it's fast-paced. It does kind of scratch that kind of quick, fast action that you kind of sometimes want in Elite Dangerous. The mayhem, I find, in my mind, it would be so much easier get involved if it was the one night. It's almost too much, and I know there was a huge massive battle on Monday night between Mad Dog and Selazin over the Monday night Twitch slot that they've been battling over for some time, so they decided to settle that in CQC and they streamed it out. Now I missed that because
I can safely say that Dog and Karash had their way with Paul Psycho. No, with Paul Selazin.
You see, he just needed me. He needed me on his team to give him a hand.
Well, see, that's the problem. I couldn't make it to that one.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think it might have been a bit of a different story, but never mind.
Although, according to the Dog, I have to admit I couldn't make it either. I was doing things last night. But according to Mad Dog, there was Drew's sons were playing, and they were all on TeamSpeak together, or Discord or whatever they were on. And Drew's sons were basically yelling across Discord, "Get that dog!"
But I mean, CQC is sorry, it's a wonderful place for grudges. It really is, because it just takes it out of the main game. Because a lot of times, as people do get, I thought I would get attached to ships, but I don't. I get attached to a model of ship. I love the T9. There's nothing I love more than the whole half an hour holding on your joystick just to correct a loop of shame. That's that's the beauty of that ship. It's just it can't go off course because it can't turn that fast. If you point it at an orbital and put it in full speed, and then within an hour and a half you're going to crash into the station. It's a beautiful, and that's my personal favorite. I love that ship, and I've gone back to flying in a Cobra as well, and yeah, I love the Cobra too. And those are probably my two favourite ships in the game. So I wouldn't like to, settle a score in-game if I could do it in CQC, because one, it's faster, it's quicker, and it's more intense than it would be in a game.
In the CQC, you can't do things like send a hull tank Type 9 into a place where there's pirates, and when he gets interdicted by those pirates, just really turn things around and surprise those guys.
Well, we did do that.
Do that with a Type 9.
We have done it in one of the hunt and runs when we had a lot of piracy and stuff. In fact, when we did the Code versus Truckers, we had an awful lot of fun with that as well. And it is there's different. The difficulty I think you find is definitely when it comes to a normal trader versus a pirate is if you kit your ship out for combat.
Let's save this for the main discussion.
Okay, well, okay, no problem. But the point is the difference in game with CQC. In CQC, you're all battleships and you're all fighting, and therefore there's not that bigger degree of difference between the ships to create that sense of unfairness. Unless, of course, you're like me and you've got the rapid fire cannons, and everyone's going, "Why does my ship shake every time he shoots me? Boom! Why does he kill me so quickly?" And that's the rapid fire cannons for you. So there's a degree of unfairness there, but it doesn't seem quite as wide as it does in the normal game, which is why I like CQC for settling personal vendettas.
Oh, I'd agree with that. And I think Frontier are doing a couple of really cool things, though, that they've got a bunch of Frontier devs playing not quite around the clock, but throughout pretty much any time of the day, hopefully. Then you can have a chance to run into either Frontier Dev of FDev Jet or FDev Wolf in CQC. And if you run into them, then take a screenshot and you then send an email off to community@frontier.co.uk with the subject line of CQC Gladiators, and you've got a chance to win some shiny prizes.
Yeah, take a screenshot of you flying through their burning corpse.
Or alternatively of, you've been killed by FDev Jet.
Oh, I've already got that in the next on the next top shift. Actually, me blowing FDev Rhino to little bits of smithereens. A certain feeling of smugness when that happens.
Yeah, so it's all fine. I mean, I have to admit, I might have bumped into Jet on Friday night and taken a screenshot, and yes, Jet killed me a couple of times and I killed him once, but guess which screenshot I sent in. So yeah, that's all. But we don't mind doing that. I mean, it's all good fun, and hopefully we'll see what happens with it. Now on Thursday, Ed is going to be doing stuff with the UGC, which should be fun because we love the UGC are a lovely bunch of guys, and I love Reinhardt and things like that. He's an awesome guy, and I don't know who else is going to be doing it, but they're really nice guys, the UGC, and I know Crash likes them as well, and I think they did a lot of stuff at Gamescom, if I remember correctly, in Germany last year. Finally, we've got a couple of lovely little pieces of artwork. There was a beautiful, beautiful freehand Imperial Cobra, which I don't know. He's got it so it looks like it's floating above the page with nice use of shadow there. But what I don't know is how did he manage to get it so it looks like it's above his desk as well? So if one of you guys who can actually do art can tell me how he did that, that would be awesome, because I don't know how you do that kind of optical illusion.
I think it's called
it's using perspective, exactly. Yeah, to do that kind of stuff, you've got to draw the thing like in 3D so that when you're looking at it flat, it looks 3D, and then if you get it, you use the camera angle to make it look like it's elevated. That's by taking the shot from an angle.
Okay, so
the 3D effect of the original drawing.
yeah, I was wondering if he maybe he did that and then took a pair of scissors to the top of the image or something like that. Is what I was wondering.
No, just
that's freehand. That
eye
is
trickery.
Yeah, that's definitely freehand.
Yeah, don't believe everything your eyes tell you, or your ears for that matter.
We know that our eyes lie to us, and our ears, And then we've also got some, sadly not to scale, but still really, really beautiful pixel art for those of you who like your retro-style looking elite ships.
I definitely do.
Yeah, I thought you might like this one, Jarvis.
I want like a scrolling shooter now of Elite. I want a version of Elite Dangerous that is just top down, like the same whole open universe, but just a 2D top down view. That'd be amazing.
Yeah. So a bit like Escape Velocity Nova or something like that from back in the 90s.
What?
Or Iridium.
I've not played that, but okay.
Like an open world Iridium. That'd be amazing, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that'd be so much fun.
Good grief. Talk about forum dads. We're showing our age here.
Right, well, talking about showing our age, I think we're all going to have to go off and replug in our catheters. So, Jarvis, do you want to give us a quick advert break, and then we'll come back with the main discussion for the night?
He needs to change his bag.
I say, do you know I was going to say,
Put their finger up their cat. Come on.
I say, you do know that I don't actually have any of the Lave Radio adverts on my computer. So going to advert could take me a while. I actually have one open.
I warned you.
That's it. I'm streaming. I can't follow everything in chat. I do have one. I do have one lined up on Google Drive, but I can't promise how long
That'll
it'll
do.
give
Let's do it.
We buy any ship.
Bar none.
We buy any ship.
Bar none. Any model, any colour, any shape, any size.
We buy any ship.
Bar none. We here at We Buy Any Ship Bar None are ready to take your excess space travel vehicles off your hands. No more negotiating with dodgy space station vendors. We'll simply give you an estimated quote online. Then, when you get here, we'll point out all the little dents and scratches that make the price get smaller and smaller before we actually give you any money. And the beauty is, we take any ship.
We buy any ship.
Bar none. Terms and conditions apply. We Buy Any Ship excludes trading in any of the following vehicles: Adder, Anaconda, Asp, Boa, Cobra, Constrictor, Cruisers, Eagle, Falcon, Gecko, Griffin, Gear, Harris, Harrier, Hawk, Kestrel, Crate, Lanners, Lifters, Lions, Mantis, Merlin, Moray, Osprey, Panther, Puma, Python, Saker, Sidewinder, Skeet, Spar, Stowmaster, Tearsel, Tiger, Transporter, Turner, Viper, Wyvern, or any Imperial or Thargoid vessels.
This is an urgent broadcast from Commander Elias Thane, about to launch the escape velocity for another haul across the galaxy. Our onboard computer voice is in urgent need of an upgrade. Our ship computer desperately needs to be patched with codename Verity, but we need your help. Please navigate to escapevelocity.laveradio.com and follow the instructions for more intel. The ongoing recordings of this ship and this crew will be available via pirate subcarrier networks very soon. Transmission ends.
Okay, that's all I've got. Grant sent me a load of files, so I'm just going to probably have to do the rest of it myself. Now, I should say I've just played that Escape Velocity trailer. Thank you so much to everybody who supported the appeal we were doing to get Escape Velocity funding up to the $1,000 milestone. We managed that, so thank you all so much for people who shared, tweeted, people who became patrons. And just absolutely fantastic. So looking forward to getting that in game. Yes, Ben, you are absolutely back on the air.
That's good to know then. Excellent. I wasn't sure if you were talking to us there or talking to everybody.
No, I was talking to everybody because I played the two things that I had access to, and then basically just had to go back on the air or resort to silence.
Well,
so
okay.
I made my choice.
So
Yeah.
I don't blame you. Right, well, as we mentioned at the top of the show, we're joined by a representative from the Mobius group and from the Smiling Dog crew. So I'm going to first of all go off and ask Eckehard, do you want to tell us from your perspective what went down over the weekend?
Well, from our perspective, it was not so special until the start of the week. We had some members who shut down other members, which is against the group rules. So we wanted to kick them and we couldn't. So we had to contact Frontier support because Mobius could not even load the group roster anymore because we kind of broke it with our size.
So how many people are in Mobius group now?
In the original Mobius group, exactly 20,000.
That's the hard limit, is it?
Looks like it.
Wow.
So we created the second one, and we are trying to get people in there, and Frontier is going to help us also move server side some 6,000, I think. We're still negotiating over to the new group to make it active and to give the original group some headroom to accept new applicants. And we are now telling everybody, well, if you want to join, use the new group Mobius space PVE. So we can grow kind of in both. So Mobius could not kick them, and that's why we contacted Frontier, and they removed them for us. And that was actually it. It was not the first time. It doesn't happen very often. I don't know, maybe once a week we get a report. Most of the time it's either a mistake, like, oops, didn't know you're a commander. A lot of noobs don't know hollow, triangle, or square is commander, NPC. Then we tell them, they excuse, and everything is fine. Sometimes people join the group, then play on start and open and think they're safe, because they think just because they're part, nobody can shoot them. Those are also a lot of reports, and then sometimes we get the real ones, and usually it's pretty quiet around those. Then the video was posted, and then everything went crazy. We were quite astonished and amazed about the reaction also, because for us it was finished, the thing.
So when you say it was finished, when you say it was finished, then how was it kind of resolved to your satisfaction at the time?
Well, when we have people in the group not playing by the rules, we just remove them, and that's actually usually the end of it. So that's what I mean by finished.
Which is a mature approach as well, yeah. But the community outrage is, it was quite astonishing, wasn't it?
It was. It took us it took us by surprise totally. It was we are 14 people in the background, taking care of different stuff: Facebook group, Twitter, YouTube. Not very active, but a TeamSpeak server, administration, and stuff like that. For us, it was like, okay, shit, we have a little technical problem. We can't remove them. Mobius then contacted Frontier, reacted pretty fast, and removed the offenders. And and then the forums and Reddit and everything went crazy, and we are like, well, we will not take part in that. That was our consent as the group admins.
So what about yourself, Sean? I mean, I know obviously, I don't think you were actually directly involved in any of this, but obviously you're aware of what was going on as well, I'm assuming.
I was present on the TeamSpeak. I haven't been flying much because my joystick has been giving me grief. Yeah, it's it's just something that we do. We try to find and rock the boat as much as we can. So whatever boat that we can find, and just to generate controversy, put some excitement in the game, and generate content. I mean, that's sort of with our corporate line. That's what we're really about, is generating emergent content, stuff that the developers didn't see, things that are wrong in the game and that kind of stuff. These aren't personal attacks on anyone. This is just us pushing the game to its edges and highlighting things that we think need to be dealt with, by the devs and that, but also the community as well. I mean, the community is just it just goes into these fits of rage, and it's just I've never seen anything like it. And it feeds itself. It feeds the SDC guys into stupidity. It's like a bloodlust thing. It's like sharks in blood sometimes.
There is definitely a phrase "do not feed the trolls,"
and they keep doing, and people keep doing it, and
they really do.
And we're built on that foundation of trolling, from the start. We were just about having fun and just okay, what can we go and do that's not where we're being. So you were saying it before, freedom, where it's a sandbox game, and we wanted to just be able to do whatever we wanted and play the game for its best elements, but put some RP in there as well and go with the storyline. So that's what we try to do with our storyline stuff, yeah.
What do you think about it? I mean, this has obviously generated a whole load of publicity for the SDC. Some positive, probably some negative as well. What's your take on how that's been seen by you guys?
Well, one of the things that I've said, that me and Sunday said from the start, there is no such thing as bad publicity. Any kind of publicity that raises your profile is good publicity. I mean, so this is raised, even though Mobius does have the biggest PvE profile and is the biggest group around, it's raised their profile. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that might not have known about Mobius before, or that option, that know about it now. Everyone knows who Mobius and SDC are. It sort of works for both of us. I mean, we aren't the nicest. We don't do it in the nicest way, but it's all, we do it in fun. Yeah. Even though some people get upset, but that's just that's what happens.
Some might disagree.
Oh, some.
Some. Well, I mean, but that's so we generate the debate, and wherever we feel it needs to be generated. I mean, you've had problems with your group management tools, Eckehard. And there's a few things where, in management, where you could probably do a little bit better in vetting who you let in, and do it. But it's hard when you've got so many people, and that's part of the debate that's been on the Facebook page, is people are saying they shouldn't do this, and it's just but we did, and it's not whether we should or whether we shouldn't. We did. Someone's going to do it. So if someone's going, we try and think of those things first before someone else goes and does it and steals that bit of glory and notoriety and that kind of thing, because that's what we're about, notoriety.
I was going to say, but isn't that just an excuse for trolling and ruining people's games?
We want to see the game improved so that these kind of things can't be done. If people are doing it like under cover of darkness and thing, that's why we post the videos. Just so, look what we've done. This is just really bad. And that's
yeah, but aren't you attacking the wrong people? I mean, I don't want to kind of draw a parallel that is kind of ridiculously out there, but I mean, it's a little bit like, if you want to change what a government does, what's the point kind of blowing up a bus full of civilians? Now, I'm not saying it's as serious as that, because it's nowhere as serious as that. But really, what is the point? Yeah, what is the point ruining people's game to make a point to Frontier? Why not just write to Frontier and say these things are a problem?
It's better if the whole community is aware of the problem and gets to debate the whole problem. Yeah,
but it's about attention then, really.
Well, it's about attention for our player group, attention for the targets, because we brought a lot of attention to Mobius. So we're not saying that we're doing them a favour by going in there and like shitting in their cornflakes, but we're about raising the profile of the problem ourselves and whatever else, like just to get people talking and generate debate. You can't generate it unless you create a division. So if you create the division, it's like, okay, we're going to upset you guys by highlighting this problem, and that adds numbers to the debate. That way, the devs get to see both sides of the debate. A bit hard with us sometimes because we just get so harshly downvoted, but we have made our own bed there.
But in terms of,
we do.
Sorry, carry on.
We try to make legitimate points, yeah, and dress them up in like silly law RP. The RP is some people go, oh, that's a pathetic excuse, but that's just to generate the game. Blame the Thargoids or something like that. It's about fun. When you go and play football, you've got two teams of guys.
It's not fun for the poor sod that you're making an example of, is it?
No, but it's not fun when we get killed either. I mean, which we do. We lose lots of ships.
Yeah, but you go in there with the approach of saying, right, we know we're going to take casualties. We're going to raid a group that's basically all cuddly puppies. They don't expect us to fight back. We're always going to get in the first shot. We're always going to get the kill. That to me is just, we'll just take this on as an excuse. We'll just say it in the background, that's fine. We'll just say there's something wrong with the game, we're just testing it, but we're really having fun blowing these poor, innocent people away.
Yeah, that's what we do. We have fun at the expense of others. This is what video games are, though. I mean, like in COD, you'll get your sniper guys that sit in the corner and everyone hates those guys.
Sorry, can I just interrupt there, because that's a different matter, and I think what's particularly upsetting and insidious about this particular thing is the examples you're making about like there being a sniper sitting in a corner, these things, or you guys saying upset that you get shot at. You sign up for PvP, so if you sign up for PvP and you get shot at and you get beaten, that is absolutely fair enough. But what you've done here is you've taken an environment. There are a bunch of players who do not want to engage in PvP. Now, they've made it very clear that they don't want to engage in PvP by joining a group which doesn't have any PvP. Now, what your members have done is they have tracked people down into an environment that they consider to be a safe space. You have violated their consent, and you have forced them to play a game in a way that you think it should be played. You think that your view about how this game should be played is more important than another person's consent. And I think that's why people are so upset.
It's not our view of how the game should be played. It's not our view of how the game should be played or shouldn't be played. We just play the game how we play the game. And like the reactions to some of the stuff, I mean, like it's really quite small, and we aren't the first people that have done this, and we aren't the only people that have done this. There's been other people kicked out of Mobius for doing this kind of thing. No one ever said a word until we put a video about it and attached the 3 letters SDC to that video. Then people lost their minds.
I think people are quite shocked by the idea that anyone would be proud of this behaviour.
Yeah, that's the point, exactly. The one thing that I think everybody's really concerned about is the Eve factor, because there's always that bit where everyone just goes, that's when Eve went weird, or that's when everyone who wanted a space game like Elite was watching Eve, and then all of a sudden it's the same kind of thing that happened where the devs have come back and said, well, they haven't broken any rules, which is true. They haven't broken any rules. The thing is, they've broken the spirit or the rule of the group that they invaded. Am I not correct there?
Just in case somebody's wondering why I'm not saying a lot, it looks like I don't have to.
No, yeah, sorry, we will absolutely come to you.
Okay.
Yes.
The spirit, but like, there's some of that stuff is quite irrelevant to us, like the spirit of the game, or like we've got our spirit of our game as well, yeah.
So basically, what you're saying there is that you don't care about other people's play style. You just want to go and have your play style, and sod everybody else who's in the way.
Pretty much.
Fair enough.
That's
what we all needed to know.
I say, can we quote you on that?
One of the things that'll explain this thing, right? Okay, we founded the SDC on this principle that we realised that to be in power, we didn't need hard points, guns, or credits. You just need the will to do what the other guys won't, and push it that a little bit further. Whether it's morally or in PvP technically or that kind of stuff. I mean, we've quite openly stated that we are the bad guys of this game, and if there wasn't a bad guy, like it used to be Code, but they were sort of half a bad guy, and they're trying to defend their stuff all the time and apologising for being pirates or killing people, and that was where SDC and Code fell out in the beginning. It was just like, are you going to be the bad guys, or are you going to be these like soft, cuddly, good guys that are because there was a real difference in what they said they were doing and what they were doing. They were just openly killing, occasionally pirating. Whereas we've just said we are the bad guys, and we'll be the bad guys. And if we're prepared to take all the shit that we're going to get for it, because like there was a lot of people out there who will whinge. There's lots of people out there who will just die and go, GG, mate. And some of the guys on Mobius have turned around and said that was fucking pretty clever. It was pretty shit, but it was, you know.
But I just want to come back to this point about consent, though, because I think it's really important. These players have said that as far as they're concerned, when they're playing online and when they're playing Elite, they do not want to engage with your game. They don't want to play with you. Why are you forcing people to play with you by infiltrating them on their own ground and ruining their game for them? That's not about being a bad guy in a game scenario. That is about forcing your will on someone that hasn't given you their consent.
They consented when they give us access to the group without vetting the guys, when they know who they are. And they've also just let some of those guys straight back in. There's a real problem with the vetting there, and it's a huge group. It's just like it's a bloated beast. It's it's not personally against them.
That's actually
you're absolutely
that's a valid point.
It's exploitable.
Yeah. That's a valid point.
Right?
That's a valid point. I do want to come back to that. Can we let Eckehard have a Eckehard? What's your kind of take on this? Sorry if we've done a lot of talking for you. Apologies.
No, it's okay. It's totally no. He's right. In the case of why did we let some of them back in? The first thing, some of them we didn't know at the time when they applied, of course. The second thing is, have you seen the group management panel in game? I mean, it's we have.
I have, yeah.
It is. So we have to keep blacklists. So when Mobius, he's the only one who can do that for the original group. When he's accepting applicants, he has the list next to him, and he then for each name looks, is he on the list? And that just takes ages. And with what do we have right now, 500 applicants a week, it's just shit happens.
And that must be huge. That must be a huge problem for you, yeah. Like having to go through that kind of stuff. I mean, if what we've done and all the people we've pissed off leads to the development of better group management tools for groups like Mobius, and give them the ability to have their big group and be able to filter guys like us out and kick us if there's a problem, then we feel our work's done. We've been arseholes, but we've also contributed to the development of the game in a good way by highlighting and publicising the issues that. You know.
Well, we will understand when would not like to give you credit for that so easily, because I think Frontier was aware of that before. We were in contact with Frontier before, and as far as the reasons why you were doing, I mean, I was listening, although I was not speaking, and I've heard different kinds of reasons, and in my opinion, they were, of course, excuses.
Bullshit.
Because,
they're all excuses. Like, I mean, basically,
it was just for fun. You said it. You admitted it, actually, because before I read reasons like it's about the background simulations because people in solo and private can affect us, and that's the reason why we do that. And so I have nothing to add about why you did it. It's just for us, the issue is not that somebody did it or somebody actually put a humiliating video on the internet after it. For us, the issue is much more that we, with the tools right now, cannot really prevent that. And, well, I hope that gets fixed soon.
Okay, can I just
the rage we generated gets those fixed for you.
Yeah, can I just? This seems.
Jarvis.
Hang on, I want to read what Zach sent us. Hang on, I want to just read what Zach sent us at this point, because I think at this point in the conversation, it's really useful to, we are sort of moving attention onto Frontier here, and they have provided us with a statement. So I think, then now's probably a good time to give you guys the official Frontier line on this as it currently stands. Zach Antonacci, head of community for Elite Dangerous, has sent us this. Frontier have said, we don't condone this kind of action whatsoever. I personally can't stress enough how much I feel this kind of action and the people take pleasure in disrupting people's gameplay is disappointing. Unfortunately, though, the action of shooting a ship in that location in the galaxy is not strictly speaking against the rules, i.e., in the way the game is set up, it's not prevented from happening. It's the group rules that state players shouldn't shoot each other. I do think this opens up a wider and ongoing debate about player versus environment, player versus player game modes, large group management tools, and I think it's important that we do have those conversations. Colin, do you still want to go?
Well, yeah, I mean, the whole point about you want to be the big bad guys, the whole point of the open area is that's your place to be your arseholes. That's the place that has been set aside really for everyone to, that's where it's supposed to be dangerous. Every time I'm in open, as now, and I see a little triangle or a little square, that's the bit where the sphincter starts twitching. However, when you're in the Mobius group, you're supposed to be all friends. Now, it just feels that this smacks of let's do something to raise our profile and be assholes doing it. And all it's done is it's actually made the game feel worse.
Okay, I'm going to actually stand up a wee bit for Sean here and say, okay, fine, from a player killer's perspective, I'm doing all my player killing in open. I'm coming in, I'm being a complete arsehole, I'm interdicting people, I'm shooting the hell out of them, and they're going down because I'm in a Fer-de-Lance with pulse not pulse cannons, what the hell? I can't remember. What's that big purple thing of doom?
Plasma accelerator.
Plasma accelerator. I'm in that with my plasma accelerator, and you're in a Type 6, and I'm well fucking hard because I can kill you, and I'm doing that in open. And, obviously that isn't fun for the poor wee Type 6 who then goes off and cries and runs into the Mobius group to avoid getting that. But is that behaviour driving people into these groups? Is that why we're seeing maybe in the Mobius group expanding so much? Because a lot of the player base actually are Care Bears, don't want to take the risk, don't want to take the chance of being interdicted, don't want that sphincter twitch emotion. Or why are people jumping into all these groups when open should be the place for this behavior, but because people don't want to man up and face the conflict, and because it's so easy for them to run away.
Yes, and that makes it undangerous. I mean, see, all the other excuses that we've come up with, like it affects the background sim, people are combat logging, flagrantly in our faces, which is like that's against the spirit of the game too, and we get subjected to that like all day, every day. And like we don't go looking for Type 6s to shoot up with our 30 Lancers. We go looking for wings of we go looking for BBFA. And we have like huge wing fights, but like, here and there, there's the people get shot up in the CZs. But like that's not our primary objective. We don't go out there looking to just club seals and punch babies. But one of the things that we do, where we've got quite a number of technically minded people. See, I'm representing 20, 30 guys and their different opinions. So, like, some of these guys are just doing it for fun, and some of them are just bastards. Some of these guys are really, really cluey and understand how to generate maximum upset, which is something that's become a part of our culture and something that we're known for, and we're not going to be ashamed of it. We're going to run with it because it gives people a legitimate reason. It's like people will complain no matter what. They complained about code, they complained about pirating. Okay, if you want to think, we'll just kill you and be done with it, and then you can complain about us and for just the worst possible behaviour. We'll just do it and own it. We'll give reasons, but they're not excuses. Yeah, there's a whole array of reasons which come from the different opinions of our player base, but and if they seem to be like some kind of legitimate, we'll throw it out there. But we do it all for fun. That's why we all play these games. And you've got people go out and play football. No one wants to be on the losing side, but you can't go and play football with your team by yourself and just kick goals into your own net all day. Where's the fun in that?
Yeah, but you don't expect to get tackled and get a broken leg, do you?
Well, and you stay in your own league.
But not really, but like
you do bring up one very important point, because there is one thing that I do agree with Ben on this one, is that there is I don't know, when you get this kind of behaviour, there's actually no motivation to stay in the open.
But there is a lot of guys who do stay in open, and like there's quite a lot of guys.
No, let me finish this, because what I was going to say is that maybe something that Frontier needs to do is put in an incentive in open, such as, I don't know, conflicting community goals which will only happen in open, or something that makes open that little bit more attractive, so that might tempt a few people out of these things. But then again, they also have to understand that if you are in open, then you're going to have to run the risk of whatever might happen.
Yeah. One of my opinions on this, I mean, there's a lot of guys who will disagree with me, even among my own group, is we need an API system where we can trade goods and also crafting, so that the people who want a PvE actually matter to us guys who want a PvP, so that like we need guys to build our stuff as per Eve, and that's where guys just go, oh fucking Eve again. But that's what makes Eve special, and why you've got the Care Bears actually go out into nullsec and they risk all that stuff, because they've got PvP guys who will protect them because it's in their interest to protect them. And if we had that, if the Care Bears and what they did actually mattered, besides like bussing imaginary gold from point A to point B, like that none of that stuff matters except for credits to their personal. It's like a one-player game that you can play in a multiplayer mode and shoot at each other. It lacks a bit of depth and content in the actual multiplayer interaction, because it creates a division distinctly between PvE and PvP. PvE doesn't matter to PvPers except for us to go and make our own money. If the PvEers could actually hand off some of their stuff to us easily and pay us for protection, we would protect them. Yeah.
And this is sounding a lot like what the Diamond Frogs are they're raising Detra. It sounds like they're mercs who enjoy their PvP. So by the sound of it, I could go off and hire the Diamond Frogs for the sake of argument for the slave community goal that was happening recently, where actually I did have a good interaction with one of your Smiling Dog members, Commander Rinsler, who did some what I would term honest pirating.
Honest pirating.
Ooh,
He did
a
some
hardcore Tron fan.
It was, but I liked what he did because he interdicted me, and he's sitting there in his Corvette. I was in my Trader Condor, and he just he ordered me to halt, and I actually did what he said, and he very nicely asked me for some slaves. I gave him slaves, and then the two of us actually had a nice wee bit of a laugh and natter before we went on our way, and that's how he was acting like the good kind of pirate in open that I would like to see more of, as opposed to the dickish behaviour that some of you guys do. Which, just like, I don't see the point in the pure player killing, but I do see the point in piracy for the sake of piracy.
Yeah, I mean, we indulge our members what they want to do. That's one of the things that we have everyone's a CEO. Yeah, we don't have a boss. Basically, we've got the two founding members, myself and Sunday, who just like, okay, here's the principles. And I mean, like, the only thing that we do tell our members is just like, don't get upset and don't turn into the guys who are crying about us. Don't cry about them. You can joke with them, you can make fun of them, but this and that, but don't go getting serious and crying about stuff, because that's like, like really, it's a computer game. So that's, part of it. If you start complaining about stuff amongst our group, you will get laughed out of it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, when you say that it's a computer game, I was listening to this debate because I was really interested in it, and I have to say, Johnny, I'm quite. My opinion on you has actually changed. Beforehand, I was kind of like, here we go. It's another group of people doing the shittiest things they can, and then they're going to kind of come up with some kind of made-up excuse about why they're doing it. And it's all about the background symbol. We're going to create a moralistic storyline. It's usually about this, ice skin thin rubbish that's used to kind of loosely justify the actions. But actually, you know what? I have gained kind of respect for you just saying you're just doing it to be next to, or to have the fun of being that kind of notorious bad boys, and I kind of know what, that's absolutely fine. I disagree with the going into another group in order to do that, because if open is empty, if open is emptying quickly, going into groups isn't going to achieve anything, I think, fruitful. And having been involved in some of the AAA group meetings with Frontier, I've seen constantly on the table from the groups is better group tools. So that issue's been raised before. So you're kind of not really doing anything else. It's kind of like a protest, but you're actually not really protesting for it yourself.
Own your asshole, basically.
Sorry?
But
Own your asshole.
But I really appreciate you coming on and not trying to sort of flannel with the kind of, we're nice guys, really. But actually, no, you can be a nice guy, and you certainly present very well, and it's really nice to have you on the show. And just to say that you guys are playing that kind of bad boy role, but in every sense of the word, it does. I mean, we've had discussions before about, is Elite Dangerous actually dangerous? And frankly, no. Is it fair that if you're in a player group like this, the PvE group, where you've set your ship up for whatever the task is that you're doing, and then along comes a group of people in their heavily kitted out fighters, which you have no chance of competing against, really. And if they say things like, drop cargo, you drop your cargo. And if I don't know for sure if there are pirates in the Mobius group. I think it could do with some PvE pirates, that when they see players have that kind of attitude of taking cargo rather than killing, because the Hutton truckers, which obviously I'm very passionate about and thoroughly enjoy, we would have had absolutely, and this is downright absolutely out there true, we would have had no fun in any of our community goals if there wasn't opposition. And the more and more brutal the opposition.
The guys who were targeted in Mobius, actually, like, all of those guys were in ships shooting in CG, so technically the Mobius rules weren't broken except for a couple
I'm
of guys.
going to come across there. I heard that Commander Flossie was interdicted and murdered by somebody saying that they were in the SDC, and she doesn't go anywhere near that PvP and things like that. She doesn't do anything to do with pew pew, so
she has enough problems with the environment.
She has enough problems not fighting into suns, let alone doing anything to do with like actual space combat maneuvers and things like that. But we know that she did get targeted and killed doing her thing, not in a war zone.
Yeah, those things happen. But the guys that were targeted mostly, like I said, there was a few people were interdicted, but most of the guys who were killed in Mobius were killed in combat zone, which isn't against the rules to PvP in Mobius if you're doing it in a CZ and you're on the opposing side.
Well, yeah, they've got that whole consensual PvP rule in there, but I've just heard back from them that no, they don't tend to have interdictions allowed in Mobius, against any, unless organised in advance and stuff. So they don't have any kind of PvP, so they don't have any kind of role-playing pirates in there, which from my point of view, I've played in Mobius once or twice, and the beautiful thing about that is you see a contact on your radar, you send a message of hello, and you get a hello, you have a quick chat. Now, if I compare that to my experience in Open, I say hello, they say hello back, and we have a complete chat. I don't see any gain other than the knowledge that you're safe in Mobius's group is the sort of biggest advantage to these people. And when it comes down to time scales, and in the past there's the debate about PvE and PvP, it's always come down to, well, if I'm jumping on for half an hour, I want to be able to play a quick thing. I don't want the hassles of being taken out, so therefore I'll play it in solo. And that's, that's what's happening. But the beautiful thing about these groups and the groups having the rules is the fact that you can still do that quick, safe action, but you can actually have the opportunity of bumping into friends and stuff, and that's good. Or, as I tend to do, which is I tend to play in Open, and I don't tend to have, touch wood, maybe it's just, wherever I happen to be, I don't tend to run into trouble very often. Occasionally I met Harry Potter, and, he's a big poo-poo head, and I'll call him that to his face, because I landed on a planet getting set up for doing a live Twitch stream, and the bugger blew me up when I was I didn't even say anything, he just blew me up, the bugger.
I was actually talking to him earlier today when I was searching for Sean. And he's a lovely guy when I was talking to him.
Most of our guys are really, really nice guys. Like in real life, we're mostly nice guys, but like we come into internet games and do our sociopathic shit there. Like we're internet sociopaths. But
that's where it's for.
And this is what games are for. This is a healthy way to exercise those kind of things, because otherwise people just watch it on TV with their dead heads and
also people might disagree with you.
Yeah, I was just going to say that's maybe
my
stretching
psychologist
it
doesn't.
a little bit.
My psychologist doesn't. He thinks it's just absolute genius that you can exercise the dark side of your personality in a virtual environment. He finds it intriguing.
I don't know. I mean, the whole thing was, as I was saying earlier, and it's nice to have someone come on that says we're just being bad guys and we're doing bad shit for the sake of doing bad shit, and that's, I can accept that, and we can, you can disagree with, your motives and stuff. It's kind of hard to accept that nice guys would do bad shit for the sake of doing bad shit. That's maybe, but again, if you're playing that role and that's what you guys are doing, then that's fine. It's just it's very difficult. Yeah, it's very difficult to engage.
Anyway, guys, Jarvis is wanting to try and say something.
Yeah, it's been about 20 minutes since Ben said, you make the next point, Jarvis. It's fine. What I wanted to really cover, though, is because we've sort of talked a lot about, obviously around the issue, but I think one of the things that's come up is the fact that it's about group management in game. Now, do we think, early on in the process of developing Elite Dangerous, Frontier shied away from implementing groups in game? They didn't want to implement groups. They didn't want to implement guilds. The whole thing about the creating kind of private groups was a little bit of a bodge to say, well, actually, people can, increase their chances of being instanced with each other. But there's actually not, by pushing the groups outside of the game, is it not Frontier that have actually caused this situation by saying, the fact that members from SDC can go into the Mobius group, that's surely a problem. And maybe, maybe if you had a tool in the game, like I might say, I might go into Elite Dangerous, and in my personal settings, I might say, anyone who's in the SDC guild, I don't want to instance with them. I just don't want them to be a part of my game. There's no way. I mean, I can individually block players. If they've killed me, I can go into a block list and add people one at a time. But that's kind of, that's a kind of clunky solution to a problem, and it's only after the event. But there's no way of configuring within the game and saying, this is the kind of experience that I want to have.
Eckehard, do you have any thoughts on what Jarvis was just saying?
Yeah, well, that's a lot. I'm not sure. Well, the design document on groups from 2014 states pretty precisely that groups were, well, to be implemented and much more than they are now. Actually, the Mobius group was founded on the idea that the grouping at that time, which was still gamma, would be extended to the description we saw in the design document. Actually, it was also in the Kickstarter already that you could make a group and you could set rules for it. For example, one example was you can set the rule that if a player kills another player, he's automatically kicked out of the group. Maybe not permanently, but for a week or something. He has to go to play in the all group, which was called in the design document, until his bounty was either claimed or paid off. So I'm not sure if that was tacked on later. No, it was 2014 in the design decision forum, which I sadly was not of because I couldn't afford to pay myself into that, because that was I think £300 was quite expensive.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, but there's a valid point, because I
Yeah.
mean, you know, Colin made the analogy earlier that, you know, you might be playing football with somebody, but you don't expect them to tackle you in such a way that you actually end up with an injury that ruins your game and the possibility of you enjoying the game in the future. But obviously in sport there is a foul system, and there isn't necessarily levers within the Elite Dangerous game in game in order to punish people for antisocial play. And it's another one of these things that I really don't want to spoil the David Braven interview for next week, but he's got some really interesting views about griefing, and he's got some really interesting views about how damaging the kind of attitude that Seanie and his group are taking towards the game, how damaging it actually is for the community and for the long-term prospects for a game's success.
yeah, but Grant said it before. It's all about its choice, and that's what our group actually stands for. It's choice. Grant, when he was talking about what he does, he jumped into Mobius, and then he went into Open. He goes in solo when he does that, and this is exactly the kind of gameplay that most of our members, I think at least, have. We had some statistics from Frontier when we ran into the troubles. The numbers, actually, we posted them somewhere. I don't really know how correct they are, but they said something about like 90% of our members are still playing actively, and I'm pretty sure they're not exclusively playing in Mobius. They're playing in Open. They're playing in solo, probably in other groups. My group page, I'm a member of 12 groups, I think, and I'm jumping from group to group. Most of the time it's Mobius, yes, of course, but I'm not using it exclusively. And this choice, what you also said about, I want to be able to choose with who I want to play, and I am more important for the Mobius group, we want to choose with whom not we want to play. That is, I think, a very big part of also the Kickstarter pitch of the game and the design document of groups, how they should work. And yeah, that is my take on that. That it's about choice, about what am I in the mood for tonight. When I see some of the videos with big PvP battles, when I hear you talk about, yeah, and then we had like 12 against 12, and it was grand, and you said in the Hutton community goal, it was really, really fun being interdicted, and it was like, I mean, it takes such a long time, and it's exciting to be afraid that you can't make it after like 1 hour and all that. I totally get that. I can really relate to that when I choose to play this way, but not being forced. Most games try to implement something where you can prevent this kind of thing, what happened in this weekend. Some succeed, some don't.
Part of the point that we try to make, yeah. And because there's a lot of this kind of stuff that, like I was saying before, somewhere along the line, someone is going to do it. And a lot of the time, it's just going to get swept under the carpet and not noticed and that kind of stuff. Whereas if we do it and fucking make a point of it, then the debate gets highlighted. Because there's quite a lot of things in this game that need to be fixed. I mean, it's got the potential to become the greatest space simulator fucking ever. But there's some issues. And
As far as the
some of
simulation goes, it already is.
Yeah.
It's just the gameplay.
that's the game. That's right. That's the game.
I still don't get your
and
reason. I don't. I do not. When you say it's about highlighting again, no, I do not believe 1 second that any of the reasons that were given in any form. It's
like
you
I was
said
saying,
at the beginning. It's just
there's
for
20
you, it's
different
just
guys who have their different
For us,
reasons.
it's
Some of
about
those
the
guys are
choice.
just killers. Some of those guys are just killers and just just idiots, but good pilots. Sorry to talk about my guys like that who are listening.
Probably
I
they would
can't
take
see
me out
any idiots
in 2 seconds.
But there's also some other guys there that are very, very smart and like that go, well, you know, when we go, someone comes up with an idea, it's just like, well, we discuss the problems and issues all the time in game. Gameplay, the mechanics, and like the hard numbers of like hit points versus alpha strike, how many ships it takes to provide this kind of damage to do this in this amount of time. Not all of our guys are into the in-depth analysis, but we've got quite a high number of guys who are analysing the problems with the games, the pros and cons with different things. And we think of ways to highlight them, have fun with them, bring the debate to the table, and cater to like the desires of all our members, and at the same time. I mean, a lot of the reasons that I'm giving aren't my particular reasons; they're different reasons from different elements of our player group as well. And some of those guys legitimately believe that, and some of those guys are just like, yeah, let's just like kill everything. But so like I can't. I'm representing them all, yeah. So,
yeah. Anyway, independently of all of this that's gone off over the weekend, Sandro weighed in on some of the PvP, saying that Frontier Development do not want to punish PvP players or PvE players, but they do want to improve the consequences for players' choices. So, I mean, what kind of ways do you think? Do any of you guys think that Frontier could improve the consequences?
Oh, yes. I think we've all seen that there needs to be some better response to the griefing in open. I think one of the things that this has highlighted is that we can't trust other players anymore, which means that when people say, no, I want to play in this group, and that group has to be abided by that rules, this now means that goes out the window.
You can't trust that the Mobius group is going to be pure PvE.
This was supposed to be a voluntary system that everyone was supposed to stick to, and we know that is not applicable anymore.
Wouldn't go so
Grant,
far.
It's going to.
I was just going to say, Colin, I couldn't agree any less with you on that particular statement at all. And,
Thank you.
And really what I want to say is, let's look at this in real terms, right? We're talking Mobius group. It's 20,000 members of Mobius's group, okay? How many people are playing the game? 500,000? That's a minute percentage. How big is the Smiling Dog crew? 20 people. Let's really move this into real-time terms here. This is not a massive issue. This is just purely the wonderful way that Reddit and forums explode in reaction to things that make this look like a much bigger problem. These groups are still as good fun as anything. However, can we improve the reactions in game? Absolutely, definitely. If you think about one of the most popular games for just blowing the crap out of each other for no reason, is Grand Theft Auto. And what happens in Grand Theft Auto when you kill one player? Not much. Why would you kill 2 players? More police come after you. 3 players, tons of police come after you. 4, 5, 6 players, suddenly you've got the flicking army coming in. Tanks, helicopters, more and more battle helicopters. That's an appropriate response that's not happening in Elite. So what happens in Elite when you kill 1 player? You're wanted. What happens when you kill 2 players? You're wanted a little bit more. And this continues up until you got 4, 5, 6 25 cotillion bounty on your head. Nothing else changes. And the one thing that even me, and I would think, okay, here I am, I'm in a system number X, and I am not a particular PvP player, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out the security forces in order to lose influence for that main faction in order to help us flip the system. So in I go, I do this. Do I suddenly find myself being chased out the system by a wing of 15 anacondas? No! It doesn't step up enough. You don't get hunted. If you, for example, if I create a crime and I go on a killing spree in Imperial space, why am I not kicked out of Imperial space? Why am I not chased through all the Imperial systems where those particular Imperial overlord military folks have the sort of, the authority and the jurisdiction to hunt me down? I should be hunted out of Imperial space, and when I next go into Imperial space, I should see wings of them. If I dock at a station, and the first time I dock, and then they know that I'm in there, I should see that whole happening again. You should be chased out of systems, and it should make it. And you know what? That is bloody awesome. And it shouldn't be different for killing NPCs and players. It should be identical. You should be hounded out of the game.
Okay, I get that. But the problem that I was about to say was that if this kind of thing is going to carry on about these groups not being the voluntary system going, that means that we are going to have to implement some kind of flagging system saying that this group is flagged for PvP only, or this group is flagged for PvE, which is what my point was. Now, I completely agree with the rest of it. It does need some way of redressing the balance. And on top of that, we need some way to track people who have got big bounties. As we've already seen, as Seanie has already pointed out, when the entire community gets really, really angry with a certain group, they certainly go after them. What's wrong with giving them tools to do that?
Okay, that sounds like fun. That sounds like fun. I bet you even the Smiling Dog crew would absolutely love to have gangs of mercenary out after them. That's emergent gameplay. That's emergent
gunplay, and that's what we're seeking, and player abilities to do that. I mean, that would be nice to have those group tools so that people could get together. This is what we're saying about Nightshady getting the 13th together to chase us out of one of the CGs the other night. Done really, really well. But someone needed to stand up and be that point that people could gather around. But there isn't the tools there. So he basically had to use his charisma and fucking local chat to get a bunch of noob guys together to fight off, a couple of heavily armed pilots. He did well with what he had, and he won the battle. But yeah, if those group tools were available, then people could come after us and they could make that thing. We'd love it. We'd probably lose lots of ships out of it and get kicked around quite a bit more, but we'd still love that.
You'd love being busted down to a sidewinder and having to stay there.
It sounds to me like it would actually be, how in Grand Theft Auto, when you go on a killing spree, you get a nice little red blob after you, and then players can actually assign bounties on you as well. Can you imagine if Elite Dangerous, anyone with a bounty over 1 million credits, something like that, you could see exactly where they were in the system map and on the galaxy map and things like that, and then follow them around this galaxy as they're trying to run, being chased by bounty hunter after bounty hunter. I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Anyway, Jarvis, I believe you had something that you wanted to say.
Yeah, no, I raised with Zach while I had him whether or not Frontier were taking a view on whether people could apply to Frontier help to get refunds of in-game credits. So if you're in a non-PvP environment and you're murdered by someone and you've just lost your T9 with 50 billion credits worth of whatever you're hauling. He said that they don't have a kind of official line on it, but obviously on a case-by-case basis, people can apply to Frontier support, and they'll have a look at it and decide whether or not that kind of in-game refund is the right response. This feels a bit like that if you've been affected by any of the issues raised in this program type of moment.
Yes. Right. Oh, talking about the consequences for things, Frontier have admitted that they're considering changing what happens to people. So they're considering the reputation with the Pilots Federation for murdering other commanders. So, as he's saying, the things that they're currently thinking about are the ability to maybe block starport access, and obviously even more increased insurance costs. They want to do the kind of thing that you were mentioning, it sounds like, Grant, where the high-sec systems, you come in and they really are high-sec. So, I mean, to me, the way that Thanks, whoever that was.
What was that?
It sounds to me like, if I get interdicted and attacked in Lave or Sol or somewhere that is supposedly a safe system, before I finish spinning round from my interdiction, it sounds like I should actually get a whole load of police coming in and saying, "We noticed that you got interdicted. Is everything all right, sir?" And if said nasty, horrible player killer pirate goes off and says, "Yar, give me your stuff, and otherwise I'm going to kill you," then the police are going to notice all this and hopefully show up in sufficient force to actually take out a Griefaconda before poor newbie Sidewinder gets his arse handed to him. But obviously, if this happens to you in Reedquat, then you're the one who wants to make sure that you're wearing the brown trousers because you deserve it. But what do you guys think about the idea of blocking off docking rights to places? I mean, do you think that's sufficiently? Is that a sufficient punishment? Is it not? What do you think?
I don't think so. I think that
Do you know
really
how many
kind of
ships
restricts.
I've lost to the stations already? I mean, they're like, people don't see the appropriate response. Like, I've been shot by the station, and sent like 200 light years back to where I came from, coming back to my home station where I was wanted for getting it. And like went to dock, come out of thing, and I didn't have any shields, and I just got wasted by the station and the police as I tried to dock. Soon as the coppers scanned me, and like that's just one instance of like 20, 30 times I've lost ships like trying to dock, because I was wanted. So I don't think that these there is in-game consequences for some of our behaviour. I mean, like a lot of us have lost ships to the station.
But I mean, what about you show up at your station and they say, "No, we don't want you to land here. Tough, and you can only land at the pirate or the anarchy systems."
Wasn't that like that in Frontier back in the day? You couldn't.
It was sort of like that, yeah.
Yeah. So for me,
But
the
you
most
dock-
ridiculous thing you can see in the communication when you're hostile to the station and it calls you out as hostile, like this behavior will not go, docking request granted. It just like what? Yeah.
Right, Grant.
Well, no, I was just going to say, I mean, I think the stations currently, the way that they were changed, because it was now that if you are trying to get into them and they've got a particularly wanted status and it scans you and finds out, then, yeah, it's all guns blazing and your ship is toast. That's currently, that was a big change. I found that out to my own detriment as I made the long journey from, exploring, and I headed back to Barnard Star and tried to dock in my Anaconda, and I led on the autopilot auto dock at that point, and off I went and had a pee, came back, and then I see you've been destroyed by the station. I've forgotten I had a bounty.
Yeah, I have noticed that sometimes the station will go off and kill you, even if you've got like a 200 credit bounty, because you went off and shot somebody who you scanned earlier, saw he was wanted, he then went off and interdicted you, and you shot him immediately without re-scanning him. So, you end up getting a 200 credit bounty for that, and then the station goes off and murders you, which is, it's like, I knew that this guy was a baddie, I knew that he was wanted. And why?
Because Richard Swallow has got to pay for his blooming Thargoids.
And it's not
It's one of those
case of all
things.
stations either. There's some stations you can just go like anarchy stations. You don't have to worry about that. But one of the stations where I had my ship stored, it was a high security system, and that's that stuff happens.
It kind of feels that there could be some tweaking. I don't know how you get it right. But it's close
Like
to. I
some
mean,
of the-
at the moment, I think the stations are reasonably fair. But yes, I mean, you should be able to get into a station if they don't know who you are. So if you jump into the system, you don't get interdicted, you don't get scanned, you don't get tagged, essentially, then you should be able to sneak into that station. And that's gameplay again. That's good fun gameplay. Get in before the scan completes, before they know who the hell you are. Get landed, do your stuff, and then get on and get out. I think
that's
it
smuggling,
would
yeah.
be much better if we saw NPC bounty hunters on a much bigger scale. They should be, you should have infamous bounty hunters, as much as you've got infinite pirate groups, when we know Smiling Dog Crew. And the other issue, again, which comes into this is, when you see a commander on the screen, and I know someone suggested if we remove the ability to tell the difference between a commander and an NPC, that might help. It might help, but you cannot tell when you scan a ship whether they're a member of any group. So you've no idea you're being attacked by the. I mean, if I could see, oh crap, there's SD, there's some Smiling Dog Crew in this particular sector, I'm out of here. But you can't. So that's really unfair from the point of view of the people on the other end of the pointy stick. So I think NPCs that are actually, because NPCs can be made more and more difficult to the point where they do represent a challenge, as we all know, as you find out when you're in a war zone and suddenly, where the hell did my shields go? So it is possible for them to represent a danger to pirate groups. And okay, yeah, you can wing up and you can tackle them. That's why I say the sort of side of them need to be escalated. I think focus more on using your NPC controls to create reactions and bigger war parties to take out pirates and such, and reflected in the amount on your bounty, so you don't get hunted down by 15 anacondas when you've just got a 200 credit bounty on your head. So there's room for this, and that makes the game alive. I think it makes it alive rather than just a station going no.
It makes sense. It makes the game more immersive when there's just those a little bit. It's a little bit more real and a little bit more logical. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, most of the stuff that you've talked about with the mission systems and like relative repercussions, I think you're pretty much on the same track as a lot of us guys here.
Anyway, I think we've had an awesome discussion there, and we're running rapidly out of time. So I think we've got a couple of quick things we need to mention. Jarvis has already mentioned that he's getting Verity, so that's awesome, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to hearing what Verity can go off and do with Escape Velocity.
Absolutely.
Then the HCS voice pack guys have been mental over in America, and it looks like they're giving us a Brent Spiner, aka Commander Data from Star Trek, voice pack, and a William Shatner one himself. And that has to be some kind of Khan thing, because that would be so awesome.
That's really cool, actually. Got a lot of work those guys do.
It's the work that the HCS voice pack does is so cool, and I am so jealous that he's going over to America, and he's doing some recording with these legends, and it's just like,
And Brent's a legend, great actor, great musician. Yeah, it's like
great comedian.
Yeah.
I mean, I love some of his comedy stuff. It's awesome. He's so funny.
Right. Okay, quick message to the voice packs people. Claudia Christensen next.
Yes, we definitely want Claudia Christensen doing some Commander Ivanova, whatever. Yeah, we need some Babylon 5 related stuff as well.
There speaks a fan.
Yep, damn right.
Commander something or other, I don't know.
No, I was writing it out all day earlier today. I was like, okay, how the hell do I spell Ivanova? Ivan over. So like, yeah, it's just basically it's from writing it out all day today, saying we need some Ivanova stuff. And I was quoting her in that conversation, so shut the heck up. I've just finished watching Babylon 5 a couple of weeks ago, with going through all 5 of their seasons. Anyway, we got a question, or not a question, but more of a request from the player faction known as Null, who are the in-game section of the Google Plus Elite Dangerous community. We were an awesome bunch of guys run by Commander Bicky, but they're basically asking to help with donations for ships lost due to lack of insurance, as well as new players getting their footing. and providing an escort service for traders and returning explorers. We're now under threat of being steamrolled by the Winters power play faction, and they're needing help as their currently limited resources are running low. They're asking for any Alliance commanders listening to please ship prep agreements to DR Crucis, and for any non-Winters aligned players, please to assist them. Please undermine Winters, I guess. Undermine them to assist us staying independent and to help others. No one needs your help to ensure our bank deposits are here for other remains and other. That's not even English.
This is some slick radio, Ben.
You try reading this. No one needs your help to ensure our bank deposits here for others remains available and open for business.
Didn't you write this?
No, I'm reading what was written to me. And anyway, thank you very much, Commander Null. So basically, Null are needing help to combat and remain independent from the Winters from the Winters power play faction. Right. Anyway, on to we've got a massive shout out to everyone who's already sent us messages of congratulations for next week's 100th episode. If you want to get your chance to send us more shout outs and get your bit played, and also to get some Lave Radio stickers, I believe, then send an email with some kind of recording into info@laveradio.com with the subject line of 100th.
Do we want insults too?
I think we'll take anything pretty much, won't we?
I think it should be like I think it should be like the Family Guy special. We should just play all the stuff of people just criticising and saying how bad it is.
I think we can have anything, really.
Are you saying you want elite? You want Lave Radio mean tweets?
It'd be awesome. I think we've had a few. What was it we were called recently?
Forum Dads. Yeah. Yeah, we just need to get winners on the show, and then we'll get enough evilness and moaning and things like that. It'll be awesome.
Mean tweets is sort of almost like SDC's paychecks. Yeah, we tried to do things for credits, but we basically found that we found a new form of currency that we called smiles per gallon, and it's created by Salt.
Right. Well, I want to thank all the local guys who have joined up at Lave Station. So Commander Arkenburst, Asrian, Baxter, Britton, Grand Solo, Nophilus, Saltire, Slapshot, and Yorick Morney. I also want to thank everybody who's joined us in the, not the TeamSpeak channel, joined us in IRC and on Twitch chat. Hopefully my co-hosts have been talking to you in there while I've been busy in game and trying to wrangle this thing together in some form of order. I want to thank Grant and Colin and Jarvis, and a massive, massive thank out to our commanders from Smiling Dog Crew and from Mobius, so Commander Sean and Commander Eckehard. So thank you guys so much for coming on.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks as well. Thanks for your time.
Thank you for inviting
And any time too.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh. I've just noticed we've just got a last-minute update asking for a shout-out for the Wassop Cup, a 50 kilometres point-to-point SRV race from Elmwood Camp to Ferguson Prospect on Wassett A2E, which is being organised by the Buckyball Racing Club. You can run anytime you like, as many times you like, from the 23rd to the 25th of February, and they're asking for people to use screenshots to capture your start and end time. They're estimating it should take around about 30 minutes. If you're fast, how fast are you? Come and join in, so that's an awesome thing for them if you want to do some racing. But that's it for another episode of Lave Radio. If you want to get in touch with the show, then you can email info@laveradio.com. We're on Facebook @/LaveRadio. We're on Twitter @LaveRadio. And of course, you can join in the Skype chat by adding Fozzer101 to your Skype contacts. We're also on Discord. And Grant, what's the URL for that again?
For Discord?
Yes. I thought you were up for
It's been a long show for him. Go on.
Discord? I don't know what
You made a tiny URL for it.
I have no idea. Oh, goodness. Are you sure it was me?
I'm pretty sure it was you. Anyway, we're on Discord. We'll find out how the heck you can get in touch with us for that one.
We'll put that up on the episode notes. That's what we'll do.
We'll fix it in post. You can also join our TeamSpeak server, which is laveradio.teamspeak3.com. Lave Radio is recorded live on Tuesday evenings at 8:30 British time and streamed out on laveradio.com/live. Thank you very much to everybody who's joined us, and until next time, fly safe, and if you can't do that, fly dangerous.
Is your life like this? Sounds like someone having an orange inserted. You need a safe word.
Space can be lonely.
I'm going to see the galaxy.
Ah, damn it. No worries, guys. Hold the fort for 2 seconds. I'll be right back.
Hello, yes?
And if we're still here, we also have to remember that we've got Elite Meet coming up on what date, Grant?
That'll be the 2nd of
2nd
April.
of April.
And we've also got LaveCon coming up on the weekend of the 16th of July, where you can meet lovely pirates and drink them, because actually they're not dicks in real life, they're just dicks in game.
Are we doing outtakes after the show live now?
We are!
Okay.
Drink pirates.